Over 400,000 children are in the foster care system, and over 100,000 are awaiting adoption in the United States alone. That's over 500,000 children in need of a home in the United States. Although more than one-third of Americans consider adoption, less than 2% actually follow through with the adoption process, which is a number that will hopefully increase into the future. Foster care is very prominent in the U.S., and it is very beneficial because it can give a child a home even if it is just temporary. But there are also children in the United States awaiting a permanent home through adoption, and they can live so many wonderful lives through that process. Adoption is so fruitful, not just for the child being adopted, but for the families that are adopting the child. I strongly support adoption and think that so many families can be positively affected by it. Family is not simply defined by genetics, and adoption allows families to grow and can give a child a life that they deserve living. Although adoption is a very time-consuming and tough process, I can tell from personal experience that it is so fruitful, not just for the child being adopted, but for the families that are receiving the child. 12 years ago, my aunt and uncle decided to adopt a child from Russia. They flew over many times and went to multiple orphanages in search for their new child. They brought back a boy who would become my cousin, who was 10 years old at the time. He spoke no English whatsoever and was not used to life in America at all. The average age of an adopted child is 6 years old. The younger a child is adopted, the easier it is for them to become adapted to their new life here in the United States. The first couple of years were very challenging because he was a little bit older than the normal age of adopted children, and he was used to his life that was vastly different in Russia. He did not know what love was for the first 10 years of his life and was severely mistreated. Adoption is not easiest in the slightest and turns the world of both the child and the family upside down. After a while of learning and loving, my cousin finally adjusted to his new life and now lives such a wonderful life here in America that he would have never gotten if he would have stayed an orphan. Adoption allowed his life to be turned around, and he could have never been as this successful had it been for him to stay in Russia and be an orphan. Adoption, in so many ways, positively affects a child and allows them to have a life that is so much more than what they would have been given if they would have stayed an orphan. Adoption shows a child that they are loved and that they are worth loving. In many situations, orphans live a life that is as far away from loving as possible. Most children don't even know what love is and have never experienced it. Specifically, motherly and fatherly love, they do not have many adults around them, and most oftentimes the adults that they do have around them are not the most loving. An adopted child has the chance to create and cultivate relationships and friendships here in their new adopted family. They would have never made the same kinds of relationships had them stayed an orphan. A child can see how friendships are truly so beneficial and so fun to have, and they would have never had them had they stayed alone in their orphanage. Adoption also allows a child to become educated most often. Without being adopted, a child would have had no education and no knowledge on anything in the world once they were allowed to leave the orphanage when they were old enough. Getting an education along with their new life can set them up for a super successful life. Adoption opens so many doors for a lonely child and can bless their life in so many different areas. Adoption allows families to grow. That gives a child the opportunity of new life and blesses the family in return. The family gains a new family member, and the child gains a new life filled with so many more opportunities and success. Parents get to become parents if they are not already. Siblings can gain a new sibling and can grow and love with them. Adopting a child can complete a family and can help a family grow in a way that is so rewarding to both the family and to the child. Families get to facilitate the adopted child's growth and can help them live their life to their fullest potential, and they can have the freedom and opportunities to do what they please. Families get the opportunity to bless a child's life, but the child also blesses the family in return because they show how their love makes such a positive impact on them. Families grow in number, in the way they live their life, in the way they love, and in so many more ways. Adoption blesses families with the experience of a lifetime by allowing them to give a child the life that they deserve and the love that they deserve as well. In conclusion, adoption is so beneficial in so many ways that are not just to the child. So many doors are open for a child once they are adopted, and they have so many options to live their life the way they want to live. Adoption shows how powerful love is and how much it can positively impact many people's lives. There are so many children awaiting adoption and waiting to find their forever home. So many as far as overseas, but just here in the United States as well. I think that adoption is one of the most beneficial things that we have access to, and that is the biggest gift to so many people.